Hey everyone, Jason Mitchell here, and if you follow me on social media, you know that this past year that I've been really out there when it comes to understanding the importance of inventory, but also understanding the importance of having institutional buyers that are taking away from our current housing supply, causing an incredible amount of appreciation on both the purchase side, but also on the rental side. And I continue to state this case because this isn't just a real estate problem. This is a problem for every lender out there as well too. And it's a problem for every search company out there as well. Zillow, Realtor.com, you name it. And the reason that it's a big problem is that I think a lot of people look at a consumer as the client. And if we start thinking about a home as the opportunity and not the consumer, I think we can start to paint the picture of really the catastrophic things that are happening right now by having large institutional buyers owning 50,000, 100,000, 150,000 single family homes in their portfolio, and the damage that it does to our economy, the damage it does to the middle class and lower middle class people of this country. Because we got to look at it as a house. So if I'm an institutional buyer, and I take that home and I buy it and I put it in my portfolio, that home is never going to be introduced to the market again, or for a very long time. See, because the goal is yield. They want the return on the rents. And as they are paying more and more for houses and scooping up houses, the prices are going up because there's no inventory, which inherently means that the rental prices go up. So that's great for their yield. They have nothing to lose by paying more for a home, and they'll continue to pay more for a home. But that house, the house itself, as that home goes into that portfolio and never gets reintroduced to the market again, that home will never have a purchase again. It won't get refinanced again. That home won't be in someone's servicing portfolio. The average American refinances their home roughly every 4 years. So over a course of 20 years, that's 5 refinances we miss out on. That's a couple home purchases for a couple families, maybe even 3 or 4. Over a 20-year period. And so the amount of transactions that a home goes through is critically important. See, it's not about the consumer, it's about the home. And when that home is no longer available in the marketplace, all those transactions go away. And as we sit here and we try to figure out solutions to this lack of inventory, the solutions are very simple. They're right in front of us. If you are an institutional buyer, then based on the amount of doors that you own, meaning single family homes, not apartment complexes, those are perpetual renters anyway, those are people that are deciding to rent anyway. The single family homes, that takes away from people that could be owning them as end users in this country. The more you own, the more you pay, based on a tiered system of tax. So if I own 10,000 homes, then I pay a certain amount of tax. You want to play the game, fine. I'm a capitalist. I have no problem with that. But you got to pay your fair share. So if you want to own 10,000 homes, great. Maybe it's an extra couple percentage on your tax returns that you got to pay in terms of a tax on the houses based on the value of the homes. If you own 20,000, 30,000, that tier, whatever it is that we can come up with, there has to be a tax on people that hoard inventory. Because when you think about it in the economy perspective, end users spend more money in the economy. Landlords don't. Now, what do I mean by that? If I own my own home, odds are I'm going to take care of it a little bit better. I'm going to get new landscaping. I'm going to get new kitchen floors. I'm going to do things to improve my home over time because it's my home. I own it. End users always spend more money on homes than landlords do. If I'm a landlord, I'm going to make sure the house is habitable. I'm not going to go out and buy brand new appliances or brand new flooring or put in a pool or redo all the landscaping. I'm going to do the minimum that I have to do in order to make sure that this home is livable. So why is that important? Well, it's important because end users put more money into the economy. So by us and as a government allowing these homes to be purchased and gobbled up by institutional buyers, we're missing out as an economy on more end users to own homes, which means that we're missing out on more money going into the economy, period. That's a big problem. But most importantly, what we're doing is we are absolutely destroying people that should have home ownership in this country. And as we continue to see these prices escalate like they are, man, Look at rents. How sad is it that over the past 3 years, rents in some markets have increased over 80% in 3 years? Has your pay increased 80% in 3 years? Most would say no. But I feel bad for these families that are trying to buy a home and can't, and now they're forced to go back and rent again for another year, but instead of that rent being $1,500, it's now $2,000. And the year after that, it's $2,300. And the year after that, it's $2,600. Shit, now I gotta pull my kids out of the school they've been going to for 3 years because I no longer can afford rent in this area anymore. That's a major problem. But the home ownership problem is even greater. Because people that live check to check or close to it, they need home ownership to create wealth. It's the only way they can create wealth. So after 12 and 15 years, they've paid their home down enough, it's appreciated X amount of dollars, and they're sitting on a nice little nest egg so their kids can go to school, so they can retire. These prices are getting out of control because we are allowing institutional buyers to buy them by the boatloads. Colony and Blackstone alone own over 130,000 single-family houses. You know how astronomical that is and how crazy that is? That's just 2 institutions. And it doesn't matter. They don't care what they pay for the price of the home because they know that rents will keep going up. So their yield will keep going up. But those homes never get reintroduced to the market again because they're going to hold on to them for a long, long time. Which means every lender out there, guess what? You can't have a home purchase on that home. You're not going to get a refinance on that home. For every person in search, guess what? That home will never be listed, so you can't attract people to drive leads to your site. And for real estate professionals, it's a huge problem too because of the lack of inventory means that less agents can sell less houses. It's a major, major, major problem that we have to start taking seriously. We cannot see 20% appreciation, 15% appreciation, but we're allowing it to happen right in front of us when we should have legislation that says you're taxed on that. And by the way, there is ways to reward these groups. So for example, if you turn over 10% of your portfolio per year, guess what? Instead of you paying a 20% long-term capital gains tax or 19% long-term capital gains, you only got to pay 15%. We will incentivize you through having to pay less tax on your gain if you off a certain percentage of your portfolio year after year. Now people would say, well, why would the government give up that kind of tax? That seems like it could be a ton of money. Yeah, it will be a ton of money. But where we'll make up for it in the economy is they have to sell those houses to end users who will put more money into the economy. We can use the tax side of things to do things like take care of homeless veterans, take care of single moms, take care of whatever we want to take care of. We can do that through the tax. We can find ways by taxing these institutions, which will make them think twice about buying that home. If I buy this home, I know I got to pay X amount more in tax because it's now part of my pool of the portfolio. But if I'm rewarded by offing 10% of my portfolio per year, I'm okay with that because I get the tax back. There's so many ways that we can incentivize the release of inventory into this market and prohibit some of the purchases on the inventory that we already don't have, and we're not doing anything about it. And we are going to see us become, when you want to talk about the Great Divide, you're going to see that these markets, these MSAs, these cities, they're going to be so divided by people that are renting, and all of a sudden, as these rents go up, at some point, people can't afford them. Homelessness is going to be a major, major problem with this because people can't afford 20% rent price increases year over year. But it's happening because the price of housing is skyrocketing. It all goes hand in hand. So at some point, people can't afford to even rent. So what happens? We have a homeless problem. You saw it in San Francisco. You see it in New York. These major areas where rents skyrocketed, where pricing and appreciation skyrocketed. It was devastating to those cities. And now we're seeing it in so many major cities across the country. We have to do something about this inventory problem. It is not a good thing. People need home ownership. They need to create wealth. But we also need to combat that because the more homes that are available, appreciation will slow down, and it will also slow down the rising rent prices. We got to do something. So this is my call out to every real estate group, every lender out there, every search. This is hurting you too. And we have to find ways because builders can't build their way out of this. And when you don't build houses for 7 years between 2009, 10, 11, 12, 13, because money wasn't available to builders, When you don't build houses for 7 years in a country of 330 million people, you're going to have an inventory issue, but then you take a low interest rate environment that we've had at 2%, now people are gobbling that up, along with institutional investors, along with people that own Airbnbs. You own an Airbnb and you keep that Airbnb year over year over year, you should pay a tax on that Airbnb because you're not releasing that to the market, you're hoarding it. It's true. Long-term rentals, you should pay a little bit of a tax on that because we need inventory. Now, I'm not saying all the tax needs to be the same. I'm not saying tax them at 10, tax them at 10, tax them at 10. I'm saying tax maybe if you own an Airbnb, there is a slight tax to that. So you got to think about buying that Airbnb before you take it away from inventory. If you're an institutional buyer, you got to tax based on how many doors that you own. There's so many things that we can do to try to release homes into the marketplace right now. But it's got to start with legislation because builders cannot build their way out of it fast enough. It takes forever to build a community. You got to find the dirt, you got to entitle the dirt, you got to build the houses, you got to get permits, everything. It takes forever to build communities. We can't build our way out of this fast enough. It's not going to happen. But in the meantime, over these 2 and 3 years of super low inventory, and who knows, maybe even longer, prices continue to go up and skyrocket, everything starts to break. We have to come up with legislation to combat the problems that we have right now because too many people are being forced to rent that should be buyers. And now that they're forced to rent, they're forced to see their rent prices increase dramatically year over year as well. We have to make a change. It's happening all across this nation, and we got to do something about it. Let's do something about it.